Why you're not losing weight, day 14 of the TFN Health Challenge. The body is a fascinating mechanism that functions different from person to person. Some people are fortunate to have fully functioning organs and a high metabolism rate that is constantly working to regulate hormones and burn fat. Other people, on the other hand, aren't so lucky. People who are having a tough time keeping fat off are not necessarily eating proportionally more than people who are slim-figured. In fact, I know of many skinny people who stuff their face with way more food than overweight people. It's not fair, I know, but everyone has positive and negative things about them that differ from everyone else. So people who are having trouble with keeping fat off have to approach nutrition and exercise differently. Fortunately, you aren't doomed. You just need specialized guidance. Science has expanded our understanding of what happens in your body when you eat food. Once you put the food down your throat, it's completely up to your hormones to regulate how those nutrients get dispersed into the body. So let's go over some key aspects that happen. Here's a good chart. You can check it out on the website. Insulin. Most people have a healthy balance of fat cells. Every time they eat, they store a bit of fat in the fat cells. Then, when needed for energy, the fat cells will release into muscles or organs to provide fuel. The process is efficient, filling fat cells with fat from the food and releasing those fat cells in a timely manner to fuel the body. Obesity is highly caused from a predisposed condition in the fat cells that store fat into fat cells, but do not efficiently use that fat to convert it into energy. The fat builds up and causes obesity. Having an inefficient fat storage isn't a valid excuse for obesity, though. It does make one more susceptible to obesity, but it is only a fraction of the process. The problem occurs when too many carbohydrates are consumed, raising insulin levels. So insulin is produced by the body to maintain blood sugar levels. Also, insulin redirects extra carbohydrates into the fat cells, storing more fat than is needed to fuel the body. So if I'm directing traffic on the road, I am the insulin that comes in, okay? So the carbohydrates are the cars, that's the traffic, and there's an increased amount of traffic, so now we need me, the director. So I'm insulin. And when there's too much carbohydrates that repeatedly get into the system, it causes insulin resistance, right? So when I'm directing traffic, I can direct traffic to the left, which would be the muscles, or to the right, which would be fat cells. And when this buildup of traffic happens over and over and over, the left side, the muscles, become resistant to the direction of insulin, which forces me as the director, insulin, to redirect the carbohydrates to the right into fat. That's the only option. Furthermore, processed sugars have the same effects on the body. Too much of it is going to increase insulin to regulate the blood sugar levels. The problem that occurs when you repeatedly consume too many carbohydrates and sugars without exercise relates to increased insulin. Then the cells become resistant to insulin and store the cells in fat rather than in the muscle. This is called insulin resistance, which means your pancreas still sends out insulin into the bloodstream to manage blood sugar, but your muscles become resistant to the insulin, so your insulin can only direct the carbohydrates into fat cells. So what I just explained using the traffic director. All right, so the solution is pretty simple. You just want to lower your sugar intake, more specifically lower your carbohydrates. So if you aren't sure exactly what the definition of a carbohydrate is, I'll explain. A carbohydrate is the nutritional category for sugars. It's the fructose, the glucose, there's one more I'm forgetting, but carbohydrates produce the molecules that break down the sugars. So however active you are is how many sugars you want to be taking in. So reduce it.